Hello everybody, this is Carol from the Friendly Quail. I was going to work on something today. At first I was going to clean up my craft room, and then I remembered that my mom always told me that on New Year's Eve, which is tonight, you should be doing something you really like doing because you're going to do a lot of it for the rest of the year. So I thought, well, I'm not cleaning. I'm going to work on my journal. So I pulled out one that I started a while ago, and I'll show you a little bit about it, and then I'm going to work on some ephemera. So it's more of a craft with me. I always throw in a little tutorial things along the way if I can, but it is a little bit more of a craft with me. So if I end up inking or something like that, I'll tell you a squirrel story. I have lots of squirrel stories and people. I used to be a middle school teacher and my students love them. I'm a little weird sometimes, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I had bought this book a long time ago in an antique store just because well, at one point I was even a home ec teacher and I taught sewing, and I just love to sew. I've been a quilter for many years. So I found this book and it was kind of falling apart. So I decided to use the cover and the pages in a journal. So I added a bigger spine. I think this one's 2.5 inches, and used an old measuring tape. I don't know why I can never remember words when I'm on a video, to kind of do, put over the edge of the fabric that I used. And I have already worked on getting my my signatures, and so I'm going to show you a little bit of what this was. This was the first page, so it was in like this. These are old. This is from 1929. That's what the copyright date says right here. So in order for it to not rip out easier, I put washi tape on any of the old papers, using glue stick to help hold it on. So my first signature, I used that, so when you open the book it's going to look, like the original book did. And then I used the first page, with the little book in here, and the rest are kind of spread out. So I've just kind of used scrapbook papers. This is an old needle book. It's still like this, and I glued on some paper, coffee dye paper, so I could journal in it a little bit. And then this is a tag that I made out of a time card, and I had this used to be on a bag of craft stuff, so I glued that on the top of it. And this was from some stamps that I bought years ago when it was 39 cents. Before they had forever stamps of the G's Bend quilts, and this was just like on it as the cover of the little stamp book. So I used that and then glued buttons on to make the little tag. So that one I had done already. I used some paper from old pattern, and I did the same thing with those. I put the washi tape on it. I use sometimes kids' books. I'll probably put something on this side, but this side it says sew, which is why I put it in there. And this is a little pocket, and I put a little button dangle on there. And I might decorate this more, but I had already put that in there. All right, so this is like some of the things in the book. Each page had a color page and then a page like this, and I don't know if this was iron-on because it talks in the book about having your mother help you iron it on so that you can do your embroidery. And they said these would be good for on your hankies. And it's in the book somewhere. And this would be good for your hanky container. So this would be like one of the color pages. I have a lot to do on this yet, but I thought I'd just kind of show you. I thought these were so sweet that I wanted to use them in my journal again. This was something I had in with my stuff. It was like a really old bag that I had gotten something in years and years ago. So I just kind of am going to use it like a little pocket. It's a little wrinkled up and everything, but heck, it's vintage. Okay. The person who had this book, the little girl, she colored a lot of these, and I just love it. Okay. Directions. They talked about, you know, they're colored so you can see where to put your floss and that type of thing. And ask your mother or someone to iron on the pattern that you're going to transfer. I think that is so sweet. But I love that for the little girl, because back in 1929, I'm sure it was a girl. Boys didn't sew back then. Colored the pages and didn't take any of them out or use them, that I can tell. Quilt. To actually iron on something. But they're so cute. This one I had already added a little tuck with snap fastener thing. I like to add book pages in too. In the book, the pages were like right next to each other, so you'll see this somewhere else as a colored version. Okay. And I have a third signature. This is a needle book that I just put the whole thing in because it was new when I bought it and made it into a tuck spot. This is one of my altered paper clips using some beads and slow stitching. And you'll see all this again as I nothing else in the final flip through, but kind of fun. See, here's the color version of the ship. $19.29. Need a little tuck spot. This I actually bought with yarn on it, like for crewel embroidery. And on the back page, I added another snap fastener for a little pocket. And I've already stamped my stamp on it and put my name in it. And of course I put the This Book Belongs To on the front. So this is what I'm working on. And I did start a few things yesterday. And then I thought I should have my camera on. So I had taken some pieces and put some pattern paper on it. And I Mod Podged it on. And this will be a journal card. And I'm going to just cut the excess off. Sometimes I just sand it off, but I like to, you know, it's a little easier to cut a lot of this stuff off and get it out of the way. But I will sand the edges because it just takes everything, all the excess off. So I have my little sandy block that I stole from my husband. He gave it to me. I always like to do a little bit of that sanding on the edges when I have something like this Mod Podged on it, just to make sure I get all of that stuff off. Okay, now I have this book, Encyclopedia of Needlework. It was put out by DMC, and it's very, very old, 1935. And so I'm using some of the pages in here on ephemera. And for this one, I cut a piece out. I fussy cut this out. It was a black and white photograph. And this was a picture of some embroidery. So I'm going to put that on there. And then I thought I'd put some rickrack on. And I've got a little snippet to go up here too. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac for this because it's fabric. The rickrack. I love rickrack. I've always loved rickrack, even when I was a little girl. So I'll just kind of put that on, and I'll cut the excess off the edge once I get it on. Okay, and I'll put it about right here. And this I'm going to use my, sorry for my arm in the way. I always try to remember to put my pins in here, and I didn't do it for my Fabri-Tac. I'm trying to get in the habit because I keep looking for my pins. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue to put on here. This is a wonderful little book. And I know some people don't like to cut up old things, old books or whatever, but that's what I bought it for. I bought it for using in my journals, and you know, what's it going to do? It's going to sit around forever somewhere else and not be used at all. So here is that. I didn't want to ink the edges because I thought it was okay. I'm trying to make everything look pretty vintagey because of the old book. So the pattern paper actually helps that. And I will ink the edges. And I've got a snippet. This is part of a snippet roll I made. I'm going to have to make some more of that pretty soon, so I'll probably set up my camera by my sewing machine and show how to do it, how I did it. It was from somebody else's idea. I can't remember who anymore. I watched so many different people. But it works, and it's something that lots and lots of people do. I'm going to put that on there. Whoops. Oh, I didn't do a very good job of that. Need more glue. I guess I have to let it dry for a little bit. This was actually off a spool of pearl cotton that I had. I'll just kind of be careful with that. And I'm going to, I'll ink later so I can tell you a story. This is another one that I had started, and this was from, I had really ugly scrapbook paper, and so I gessoed on it, and I stamped and did different things, and then I put some of the pattern paper over it and make it look really vintagey, and then of course it's got the little arrow for when you had to line it up. And I found this in my, I get a lot of things from the thrift shops and stuff like that, and it was a little needle thing, so I took out the fabric thing that was in there, and I cut a piece of coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to glue this in. I'm going to start with the middle because it has to be able to fold. And put that on here. I gotta move it over just a little bit. Yep, that's better. Okay, now I'm going to use this, but I'm going to glue the paper down, and because this is kind of weak here. In fact, I could put a little washi tape on that, couldn't I? I'll just take a little piece and kind of help that along a little bit. And I'm going to cut this open again using my X-Acto knife. Okay, I'm just going to do this, and I'll put this side down same way. So this will be like a little journal card. Okay. And I'm trying to just cut this back open. We'll see how I'm doing. To see to do the rest of it from this side. I got a little bit of a rip there. Oh well. Probably should have waited till the glue dried. A little bit more. Probably would have worked better. So now I've got this open again. Yep, should have waited till the glue dried. Live and learn. Okay. So now this will close up like that again. Hopefully be a little stronger. Now, I thought this was so cool, that whole thing on the back, that I didn't want to like glue it on something. So I'm going to use it on this tag. But I found this, I get a lot of images off Pinterest and things, and you can double check and make sure that they're not copyrighted. Do a reverse search on Google or whatever. If I do a reverse search and I see 30 of them on Etsy, then I know that it's not copyrighted because nobody would be selling it. Oh, I think I'm going to put this on first before I finish that up. I'll put a little glue on that. That'll be kind of underneath, sticking out. Oh, I should have did a little of this. The Messy Crafter. Get glue on everything. Okay, let me get this up here. When I make my tags, I know a lot of people take their, they cut one off and then they flip it over and do it on the other side, but I'm too lazy to do that. So what I did is I took a card, and I have like 3 different sizes. I took an old card and I cut it off, and then I flipped, you know, I went to this side and I flipped it onto here, so I had the opposite. So now I can just do this, cut it, and cut it. And that has saved me lots of time. Okay, so like this, I'm putting on with brads now. And I had already poked the hole. And I'm going to back this with coffee dyed paper. And that'll cover up those brads. So now this will slip in here. Oh, please fit. I checked it all out. The best laid plans. Maybe I did it too tight. Loosen that up a little, and please fit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then because this had the hole in the middle, I was able to line this up. The Kirby Beard and Company Limited. It was made in, that's our trademark. It's a little elephant and crown. So it's kind of fun to see that. And let's see, I am going to use this for a topper. I made these, I used coffee dyed muslin, put a pin in that I used a little patina on. So this is going to be my tag topper. I think I'll use this glue. Kind of get that centered on there. And then I'll do the back. Some of it went through, but oh no, I did the back. It was the front I didn't do. Okay. Okay. I hope that New Year's Eve thing doesn't include making mistakes. Alright. There. And then I'm going to put a button on there. This is an old rusty metal button. One of my friends gave me a whole bunch that she got at an estate sale. Thanks, Sue. Whoops. Again. Stuck to my finger. See if I can do this. And then I'll let it dry. Okay. And we need a little bit more to fill in the space. Okay, no squirrel story yet. This is going to be fast. I taught middle school. I taught every grade from 3rd through 12th, but middle school was my favorite. And my husband always said middle school kids were why duct tape was invented. But they made me laugh every day, and I love them. And I miss the kids. I don't miss teaching so much because everything's changed so much. At the end, I was teaching ancient history. Loved it. Dressed the kids up in costumes and did all kinds of fun things to keep their attention. But they still had to work. They had to write 5-paragraph essays and things like that too. So, you know, but they still We still had fun. And my husband says also I got along well with that age because I still laugh at fart jokes. Okay, I'll ink them later. Let's see. I thought I would use one of these Kleenex toppers. I did this in one of my other journals. And I'm going to glue this on the front, and I'll put coffee dyed paper on the back. So I think what I'll do is put the glue on here and then line up the paper over it. I pulled out a piece of book page from an old quilt book. I'm going to line this up. Let's see if I can see through it so I get it where I want it. How can I do that? Nope. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, that'll work. I'll let that dry for a minute before I cut it out. And I'll pull something else over to do. I'm also making some pockets. So these I made in a mass making thing. I watched Shell Radcliffe from the Rambling Crafter, and I also saw something like this on Shabby Dabby Doodah. And I made a whole bunch of these using scraps. They're just little envelopes, and they make great pockets, and I just decorate them up. I pull something out and decorate it when I have a journal that I'm making. And I have, you know, tons of different colors and things like that. So let's see. I am going to put this on, I think, over here. And then I have some of these little pretend thread things. And so I tape it on, you know, I kind of wind some fabric around it or whatever, and I tape it on, and then I can use it to decorate. Oh, let's see. I'm going to use a little Fabri-Tac on that. Put that on here. I had already inked the sides of those. And then I think I'll put a button on. I'll put it up here. This one's finished because I had already inked the edges of it yesterday when I was working before I decided to turn on my camera. Okay, I think this is dry enough now. I've told this story before, but if you hadn't heard this, I have a stainless steel pin with a metal head that I use in this bottle because I put one of these in, like I have for there, and it ate away the plastic top, and I have the needle end in there. I came back. Where is it? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to cut this out. I'll do a rough cut first. save this for scraps for later. Better put that on before it rolls off and cuts me. These get too thick to sew around. The other ones I'll sew around because I do like the way that looks. This one will just get inked and it will be done. No sewing too thick. Okay. I made something like this in my sewing journal in a tin. Similar. If you saw that video. Okay. So I have this little cat. This was a Pinterest thing, and I've decided I'm going to put him on here. I know his ear sticks off and his tail a little bit on the sides. That's okay. Kind of fun. So he's going to go down here. Kind of line him right up with the bottom. And I made some words for sewing, and I just printed them off on some coffee dyed paper. I made them in a couple of different fonts, and so I rip them out when I'm going to use it, and I'm going to put this on here like this. So my little kitty's a sewing diva. And I have a pin topper for this one too, but I'm going to put it on after I be like this. After I do the inking. Probably it'll be like this. Okay, but I can put this on now. So I'm going to do that.